What's up, guys? Thanks to G2A for sponsoring the channel. Reference link in the description below. That is my catchphrase, of course, as you guys decided. That is my catchphrase. Sorry I haven't published much recently. I was super ill for like 2 weeks. I had really bad laryngitis and I could barely talk. You guys probably heard it in some of my esports videos. My voice was getting worse and I was like, I just can't keep making videos. However, I've recorded quite a lot of content, including a tier list and other bits and bobs that I'll be releasing over the course of the next few days. Definitely not because I have sponsor obligations to fill by the end of June, but I'm feeling much better now. Right, patch 3.2c came out. I didn't really want to do like a review when it got released because ultimately it was a really small patch, like really not that big. Obviously there are some patch 3.3 things coming out, which I'm going to talk about. So this video is going to be patch 3.2c plus some cool stuff from patch 3.3. Brand stun duration is going up on Seer. I mean, it's a small change. It's 0.25 seconds. It's about what Vigar got on his baby cage, which is a pretty big deal, but this is much harder to hit. It makes support Brand a little bit better, but overall, it's not a change that's going to make Brand meta, in my opinion. Fizz, he's getting some base damage increase on his Urchin Strike. It's cool. Not going to make Fizz massively different to where he is right now. 10 damage is practically nothing in the grand scheme of things, and there's no scaling changes, so it is just literally 10 base damage. Might help his all-in the laning phase a little earlier, but apart from that, not a huge deal change. So the Janna changes are actually pretty cool, and I think worth talking about. Time required for Whirlwind to reach its destination is a lot quicker now. So 0.25 seconds off. It might not seem like a lot, but when you take that into context of it being, you know, a whole, what is it going to be, like 20% quicker now, there or thereabouts, it is going to be a little bit harder to dodge, you know, so that's good because that was something that was a little easy to dodge for most people. And the Zephyr projectile speed has increased. Not massively enthused about that. Zephyr usually ends up hitting a target regardless, so the biggest change is that Howling Gale change. It might just make Janna's peeling capabilities a little bit more effective, which I think is basically what Janna is there for at the end of the day, right? But I still think she's pales in comparison to some of the other enchanters right now. Katarina, why on earth would you do this? Why would you make Katarina better? 50 base damage on her ultimate is, 50 base damage is a significant little boost, and ultimately, I think Katarina was already in a strong spot. There's so many Katarina one-tricks out there right now. I mean, she's not going to go from S to S+, but she's still going to be a very solid, strong one-trick champion, and this is only going to make her slightly better. Projectile speed increase on Misfortune. It's like a quality of life feel change for Misfortune. If you're going to hit it, it hits them regardless, so who cares? Soraka, she's getting a nerf. She's getting a pretty hefty nerf on her Star Cool rejuvenation healing. And the ability power is coming down on it as well. So, I mean, Soraka had kind of woven her way into strong meta supports. This is only affecting her rejuvenation, which is the health you regain once she has that rejuvenation buff and applies it to an ally, and also the rejuvenation that she gains. 10% ability power is a pretty big chunk of rejuvenation off, and it's a 30 base nerf in the late game too. So just to be aware, her healing is going to be reduced ever so slightly. I don't think it's going to make her crap tier again, but it might reduce her overall power level. I already thought like Soraka is not a pick that you'd pick every single game, right? But she has her matchups where she does well. And this is not going to change that situation, right? This is an interesting one though. Thresh is getting a 0.5 armor increase on an ability power increase on his soul value, which is something that I think is needed because realistically, Thresh is not that tanky. He falls off compared to other supports in terms of his tanking capabilities. And with the introduction of Nautilus and Pyke, there are champions that kind of do what Thresh does in terms of the aggressive part of Thresh's kit anyway, but better. So just having Thresh be a bit tankier, be a bit more sustaining in the front line is nice. And I think I already rate Thresh quite highly, and I think this will put him firmly like in an S tier support category. So yeah, some new skins. accessories and free-to-play champions. Feel free to read. I'll link the patch notes in the description. But now let's get on to patch 3.3, starting off with what I'm most excited about. It's my boy Sion. We've got Samira, Kassadin, and Sion confirmed coming out in patch 3.3. For those of you that don't know, Kassadin, quite exciting. He is a scaling AP melee mage in the mid lane. He can teleport with his ultimate a small distance, and he builds up damage by teleporting over and over again. Very mobile, however, has a pretty weak early game, and obviously has a lot of bad matchups in the mid lane. He's a melee caster, so he loses to AD mid laners. He loses to a lot of ranged mid laners because they just gets outranged. Until level 6, you can't really do much with Kassadin, but it's pretty cool. Or level 5, it will be on wildrift. Pretty cool to see him though, and I'm interested because of how fast-paced wildrift is. Do we kind of get past the bad part of Kassadin's game really quickly, where he's going to become a real menace, you know, very, very quickly? I'm very excited to see Kassadin. Plus, the itemization right now really favors him. Rod of Ages into Lichbane into Death Cap. It's going to be a really strong build for Kassadin overall. You do need mana on Kassadin. Some people like to go Rod of Ages and Tier, but that's quite a slow build. You know, I might be sort of more along the lines of Rod of Ages into Lichbane to get myself a quicker spike. Samira, I actually quit PC before Samira was released. So I never really played Samira, but she is a ranged / melee. She can switch between ranged and melee hits. AD carry that is all about building combos and dealing like a ridiculous amount of damage in these combos. From what I remember when she was released, she was absolutely not so broken. She's not so strong in the meta right now. She has her place. But she's very much a champion that can very quickly turn a team fight when using the abilities at the correct moment. I'll be interested to see how she plays on old itemization. I don't believe Samira was around when we had old itemization on PC, although I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. I've always thought Samira was a champion that was there when we had like the newer items in PC. But the guy that... Sorry, that's a horrible habit, I know. The guy that I'm most excited about, it's Sion. Oh my god, I was a Sion one trick. Wait, I'm going to show you. Okay, as you can see, I played one game in 2021, but let's go back and have a look at my older champion. I want to go back into like, where's season 9? There we go. Season 9, I mean, I wasn't playing too much again because of work and stuff, but Season 9, I was a Sion one trick. Season 8, apparently I played a load of Urgot, but I started playing Sion in Season 8, about Season 2020. Again, quite a lot of Sion. I played a bit of Jhin as well. I was just messing around at this point. But as you can see, okay, Season 7, I played a load of Thresh. I can't remember. I have no idea what I was playing back in the day, but Season 9... I was a Sion one trick. I played a load of normals as well, and essentially just spammed the crap out of Sion all the time. So I'm really, really excited to kind of see Sion back in action. I didn't do anything. Did I do anything in Season 2022? Wow, I did nothing in Season 2022. Season 2020 was the last time I played League PC, and I actually didn't play that much over Season 2020 at all. But I did get some games of my boy Sion in, and that's the most important thing. Anyway, I thought I'd show you that. I haven't played in a very, very long time. When was the last time that I was Diamond in Season 5 and Season 6? Jeez. And then I kind of gave up. And as you can see, I just cruised in Platinum for the rest of my time, forever. But there we go. You've seen my league history now. So this is Chao Z's channel, by the way. I'll link him in the description. He does a load of leaks from the Chinese PBE. We don't get a PBE. And here is some notes from the Chinese PBE. And I have almost no idea what they say because the translation is so bad. But let's go through it and have a look together. Hero adjustment. 3 skill synchronization endgame. No more injuries. Simultaneous endgame of big moves. Participate in the game and you can play one more big move. I don't know what that means. Okay. Teemo. Big move. Oh, that's ultimate. Synchronous endgame. Okay, so ultimate synchronous endgame. I don't know. Continue to lose HP after hitting, but the damage drops low. Okay, so Teemo's ultimate. Okay, I'm going to guess. I'm guessing Teemo's ultimate will now act a bit more like the PC version, where it hits you, And once you hit it, you take damage, but the damage will drop like after getting hit. Because right now Teemo streams are quite easy to avoid and deal with. I guess. I'm guessing here. Synchronous 2 skills, synchronous endgame. Can pass through the wall. Dragon Girl, passive redo. Defeat large wild monster to get 5 dragon blood power. Participate in defeating heroes, Canyon Pioneers, and Baron Nash to get 15 click dragon blood power. Defeat the dragon to get 40 points of dragon blood power. And every 100 points of dragon blood power can warm up a skill. 5 weapon. Why? I don't know what that means. I assume Monkey is Wukong. All except Jess Airplane. I don't know what I'm reading. The highest number of vertical layers is 5 to 6. Additional physical and magic blood sucking. So Conqueror is getting some lifesteal. Gain the power of adaptation. General attacks cause adaptive damage and the basis of immortality. I'm so sorry, guys. I want to analyze these notes. I really do. And I will give you I'll put the link in the description to analyze these notes. But I haven't got a fucking clue what I'm reading. I have no idea. Friendship points. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Zhongluo energy. Okay, this is about the elder, the elemental dragon, I think. So they've reworked Gargoyle's plate armor. Immediately get a shield with 30% of the maximum health. If there are 3 enemy heroes nearby, then increase it to 100% of your maximum health. The internal grief is continuously reduced, and the damage caused by reduced by 40% for 4 consecutive days. Wow. They've removed Twin Shadows, but they've added Alchemy High Pressure Tank. Retreat from nearby enemies. Hextech Magnetic Claw. Rush to a friendly hero. The hero in Chaofeng Zhaofan's Country 1. So, are they doing like a... You can like jump to a nearby friendly champion with it? Veil of Truth. Provide a nearby friendly hero with a skill that can withstand 1-time spell. Oh my god, they're adding Crucible they're adding Crucible. Add a nearby friendly hero with a skill that can withstand 1-time spell shield. It lasts for 3 seconds. And they are that's Crucible. They're adding Crucible to Wild Rift, right? That's got to be it, right? That's got to be Crucible that you're adding to Wild Rift, where it's like rather a targeted Crucible, right? It's like spell shield that you can give to an ally. That's very cool. That's a fucking cool. That's so cool. That was one of the best things about being a support in Vainglory, that you knew that a well-timed Crucible would completely turn a fight around. The health value gains seals. So I think they've made towers that are the middle and inner towers harder to take, but they've also increased the gold bounty for taking them. I'm going to link this. You can feel free to read. I'm just excited that it sounds like Crucible's coming to Wild Rift. Sounds like it. Someone else might be able to tell me. If anyone can translate these notes properly, not using my absolutely ridiculous Yandex Translate, feel free to let me know, because I haven't got a clue what's going on. Excited for Scion. That's all I can say. And yeah, if anyone has anything cool from these notes that they can glean, if you speak Chinese in any way, shape, or form, feel free. These were from Chaozi's Twitter, which I'll also link in the description. And you guys can let me know if there's anything really cool there, because I can't work out what on earth this is saying. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Instead of laboring over those notes, I saw that Chowsy has done a really, really good video on his channel talking about some of the new items. This is the repulsor item with a cooldown of 90 seconds. When activating it, you can repulse nearby enemies, which can be really good for dealing with assassins or dealing with engagers, or as Chowsy is showing here, can be really good for multiple things. Let me just pause and talk about repulsor. I think that's a really, really cool enchant. What I would say though is it better than Zhonya's? Like, that's something that I think is really important, right? That repulsor enchant is a one-time timed push away, which I think clearly is going to have its uses when you're a squishy in some scenarios. But is stasis just better? Because realistically, if you knock someone away, you know, how long is that going to buy you? Is that going to buy you enough time? Or would stasis just have been better to allow your team to kind of get on top of you? I personally feel stasis is still going to be the go-to defensive enchant. I think repulsor is much more likely to be used in those scenarios that you showed with Leona, where you can kind of knock people towards your team, or it can be a good way of knocking someone into position for a gank or something like that. I think repulsor is less likely to be used by carries just because the use cases for it are probably pretty limited. And stasis is usually going to end up being better. The only benefit of repulsor is that it's going to allow you to continue to move and reposition, whereas stasis obviously locks you in place. But stasis generally is going to keep you safer. You know, that repulsor enchant, I can't see many scenarios where you're going to knock everybody away with all of their lockdown and you're going to be suddenly safe as a result. This one is called... Let's have a look. Okay, so this is Magnet. You dash to a nearby enemy and you taunt the nearest enemy champion for 1 second. Okay, so this is very much a peeling support type of item. So you have someone threatening your AD carry, you immediately dash and taunt them, and that allows your AD carry the chance to get away. It probably combos with repulsor pretty nicely. This is going to be a great item, especially for things like Braum. Braum is going to have a double dash to his carry now, not only with his magnetic enchant, but also with, you know, his second ability. And I think this is going to be a really strong item when you've got a hyper carry or someone that you really want to protect and you're a support that needs to peel for them. So these supports like Alistair, they classically have got a lot of peeling capability. Even Leona, Braum, all of these types of champions. This is going to be a great item for them, especially if you have those types of hyper carries. If I think, you know, the one thing that I will say, and you can see there, it's another good way for an offensive capability as well. The one thing that I will say about all of these enchants is you have to remember that there are already good enchants in the game. So Stasis, Redemption, Stoneplate, etc. These would replace that. So you've got to assess their relative power compared to what we've already got, not just how good they look as a new one. You know, a support that takes, you know, the magnetic enchant is going to lose access to Redemption, which is a team-wide heal. You know, there's pros and cons for all of these enchants. This is the one that I'm really hyped about, and if you're a Vainglory player, you're gonna see a very familiar item concept. That's right. A targeted crucible, basically a spell shield that works on an ally. That is very cool. I am excited about this one, mostly because it's something that we saw have so much influence in Vainglory. And if you're a Vainglory support, you'll realize how great it feels to block a really impactful ability. 1 second. All right. Swiftness boots, which absolutely zero people apart from Jin bought. You now get movement speed bonus on basic attack, which is pretty cool, actually. I actually think that's a really, really cool addition. And that's actually going to make it a pretty viable boot choice for most AD carries, right? Like, AD carries get minimal benefit from defensive boots most of the time. So these are actually now I would say the go-to boots for AD carries in most scenarios. Quicksilver enchant no longer provides MS, but now after using Quicksilver, you'll be immune to crowd control And it also immune to knock-up effects within 0.5 seconds. That is interesting. There has never been, apart from like Banshee's Veil, etc., a way to avoid knock-ups in the game. That is very cool and now makes Quicksilver a very viable item choice. But then I do question, you know, like Repulsor. Why would I go Repulsor when I have access to this, which is an absolutely, you know, ridiculous enchant? In addition, it provides 30% tenacity and 30% slow resistance. That makes Quicksilver very viable, potentially even way more viable over what's it called? Gargoyles. Gargoyles enchant will provide 30% maximum health shield or 100% maximum health of shield if there are 3 enemies nearby, and it will decay over 4 seconds. It makes tankier champions a bit more balanced. They no longer gain a load of health, and I think I also read that it reduces their damage output as well. So I think that's a good change. Gargoyle was kind of broken, not gonna lie. See, the Twin Shadows enchant has been removed. So Twin Shadows has been removed entirely. It looks like, which I think was interesting because I think some people did use Twin Shadows. Conqueror maximum stacks from 5 to 6. And after full stacks of Conqueror, you'll gain bonus physical and magic lifesteal, but no more adaptive damage. If you're a melee champion, you'll gain 5%. If you're a ranged champion, you'll gain 8%. You'll gain 5%. So the new Conqueror is really only suitable for warrior type champions. Brutal only deals adaptive damage if basic attack hits an enemy. So Brutal has been nerfed a little bit, it sounds like. Grasp of the Undying. The magic damage will increase 20% of attack damage and 10% by 20% attack damage and 10% ability power. So new Grasp of the Undying seems stronger. That's interesting. It also still scales with health. So it looks like you read it, it scales with health, it scales with AD, and it scales with AP. That makes Grasp really strong, I think. Kraken Slayer. This was a bit of a fail rune. Ezreal's skill 1 and Senna are able to stack Kraken Slayer, so it's a small buff for Kraken Slayer. Ari doesn't get extra damage when charming an enemy. Oof. Really? But Ari Ultimate is reworked. You'll be able to recast your ultimate one more time after killing an enemy. Okay. So you get an extra charge. Teemo. Ah, it's what I thought from the patch notes. So it doesn't actually, it creates damage, but you take damage over time. So it's a huge nerf for Teemo. I don't know if it's a huge nerf for Teemo. You could avoid most of Teemo's damage previously, right? So I'm not sure it's a huge damage. I want to find out what this Wukong changes are. I need to find out what these are. Wukong's skill 2 is able to go through a wall, but it only works for thin walls. So it's a slight buff for Wukong's flexibility. Jax. Passive can increase attack speed by 6% on champions and minions. It can stack up to 5 times, but no longer stacks as passive on monsters. So that's a massive, massive nerf to Jax in the jungle. Shyvana passive got reworked. Now Shyvana slays monsters to gain 5 Fury of the Dragonborn. Oh, okay, so that's that Dragon's Blood thing. Every 100 Fury of the Dragonborn will upgrade Shyvana's skills. So you can upgrade Shyvana's abilities now by just killing monsters. You don't need to take dragons, which now makes Shyvana way less reliant on dragons, right? Which is actually pretty good. Loads of ultimate cooldown reductions. You're going to have a faster, more intense gameplay. Thanks, Chowzi, for translating the notes that I had absolutely no idea what was going on. And that is my reaction, my thoughts on the upcoming leaks. See you soon, guys.